Perfect. So, hello everybody. Hope everyone is well and keeping okay with this whole COVID situation and keeping safe at home during this unprecedented times. As you can see, obviously we're looking a bit of a different way of doing normal things. This is a little interview we're wanting to do with Bill. So I obviously want to welcome Bill to this little interview we've got going on, obviously, and say congratulations. And the reason we're doing this is on Bill becoming the new chairman of ACT. So congratulations and welcome, Bill.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Good. So nice and easy. It's just going to be a question and answer situation. Obviously, maybe a little bit back and forth as we go, but we'll see how things go. So nice and quickly straight into it for you, Bill. First question on the board. So when did you first join ACT?
I joined ACT back in 1997. My then girlfriend knew somebody who did AMBRAM and had a word with her, and it just so happened it was the nearest group to where I live. So kind of all slotted into place.
Very simple, nice and easy. Yeah, straight away. Obviously, very long time for you, Bill. It seems obviously going along a couple of years now, and now finally at that stage of, as I say, as the chairman of the group, which is obviously great, of course, for us and moving forward. So again, the second question I would have for you is, and as you know, is why theatre? Obviously, you've kind of explained why ACT, but why theatre? What got you going? Why joining a group was a good thing for you, and why did you do it really?
It was something I'd always wanted to do and thought about doing it for years. And as I say, I was going out then with somebody who knew about it, and we talked a bit about, could she set me up sort of coming along, and so went along on that summer's evening all those years ago. Thought I was going along to do a play reading, and they were one short for the rehearsal they were doing that night. So I actually ended up being on stage and reading in a part, which was a little bit daunting for a first night there. And then, for reasons that are too long to go into here, that play ended up getting delayed, and it had to be recast. A couple of people couldn't be in it. And so I actually ended up being in playing the part that I'd read in on that night. And so that was my first play for ACT. That was, I think it got delayed to kind of early 1998. And it was quite a big role. But
Remember the play?
Sorry, it was Tomb with a View, it was called.
Okay. And you remembered your part?
I can't now. What I do remember is it was somebody who, although he was a man, he wrote romantic novels under a female name, and so he got invited to this house where all these. It was a comedy. It wasn't dead serious, but all these murders took place. But I actually survived through to the end. I was one of the two characters who the end.
Good. No, that's really good. I think it's obviously interesting when you get, as you say, chucked into the deep end in that sense. Similar for me when I first joined ACT, as you know, obviously, you jump straight in. So it's good. And I think, again, from my personal experience, and obviously I imagine your own, obviously it involves you straight away, and you do get to grips with it. It's not necessarily just a slow trotted thing. You jump straight in, and you can see from day one that you want to be there. And I think obviously, as you're still here, it surely was the way. So brilliant, of course, on that one. So one thing obviously everyone needs to know, and again for yourself, obviously the chairman decision has been wasn't very long ago. So for the next question, obviously I've got with, how has ACT coped with COVID, and sort of what changes has ACT made? Obviously understandable that main changes and stuff, but you have been involved in the committee, so obviously you do know. So that would be the next question. As I say, how has ACT coped with all of this? What changes have been put into place to deal with the situation that we've been in?
Okay, well, I mean, essentially, we've just had to move online. We can't do anything. We'd love to be on stage. We'd love to be producing plays. I mean, in normal circumstances, we would be rehearsing what we would be putting on at the end of this month. We'll be kind of getting there, and we can't do that. So instead of that, we've had regular play readings most Friday nights. And here I have to give a shout out to Daniel Burrows, who's been fantastic in keeping that all together and researching plays and dealing out parts on the night. It's been really good. I mean, it was probably one of my most major disappointments this year was the fact that with the play that we were going to stage in March, we got right up to the week of doing it. All we needed was one more week. If things had been announced a week later, we would have performed it, and that was it. And we would at least have done that. It was disappointing not to. But like I've said before, there are worse things in the world than not putting on a play. So essentially, it's just meant that you know, we do play readings online. Any meetings we do are online. But I think I'd speak for virtually everybody in Acton. We are longing for the day when we can get back in the Abbey Centre and perform in front of an audience again. So, but it's out of our hands. We just have to wait and see when that will be.
No, exactly that. I think that's exactly well put. I think obviously, again, from my experience of being there for the March one, yes, very disappointing. You know, 2 days, wasn't it? I think Tuesday to the Thursday that we were supposed to be on. So, of course, a very disappointing situation, but nothing we could do about it. Nothing anyone could do about it. And as you say, hopefully we can, you know, all of this starts to kick on. This whole vaccination thing starts to kick on, and maybe obviously at some part next year, acts can get back on stage and get going again. Obviously, as you say, everyone probably wants to do. Definitely for sure. Okay, so one of the questions obviously we want to know, and of course obviously I hope that everyone else wants to know as well, is as the new chairman, what sort of challenges do you expect to see? Not necessarily COVID, just in general as well. You know, how do you intend to overcome them? What's your personal strategy towards it?
Okay, well, in the immediate future, obviously we have to deal with the COVID situation. So I would say our two priorities, our immediate priority is to keep everyone together in the group. And the main way we're doing that is by having the regular play readings. We'd also like to think that we can attract some new people in as well. I know we did have a new reader recently. We always welcome new people who want to come along. It will be that we're doing it in this virtual way instead of the face-to-face way at the moment. Secondly, we do have to look at our financial position as well, because as we've established, we're obviously getting zero money coming in because we're not staging any plays. On the plus side, because we're not staging any plays, we're not paying out for those plays, so we're not paying for costume hire or set construction or whatever. But at the moment, we are looking at our situation with regard to room hire, and it's something because obviously, if we continue in a situation where we're not getting money in and we are paying money out, very gradually we kind of slide into a difficult position, which will make it far more difficult to stage any future productions. So that's something we need to tackle. That aside, we know that this situation is going to come to an end. We know that we will stage plays again in the future, you know, whether that be in the middle of next year, at the end of next year, or whenever. And so essentially we have to be ready to do whatever it takes at that point, because we could face a situation where we're staging a production and there are rules and regulations in place as regards what you have to do front of house, what you have to do backstage, and so on and so forth. And again, probably can't speculate on those at the moment, but we need to be in a position that we know what we're going to do at that point. Other than that, hopefully when things do return to a bit more normal, with our play readings, we've established quite a number of plays that we could potentially put on in the future. That's in addition to things that we haven't been able to read recently as well. And ideally, I'd like a situation where we went into any given year and we knew which three plays we were going to put on, which we never have done in the past. But in the immediate future, we just got to see kind of how it goes, really.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. Obviously, you know, making sure everyone keeps engaged and keeping it on board and wanting to stay with it. And as you say, just waiting for that day we can get back going. And I mean, obviously, from I think everyone's point of view, the aspect that we have a lot of opportunities and a lot of plays that we know are decent or we know would work well in certain scenarios, I think will benefit the group. As you say yourself, obviously, potentially having in a situation where 3 plays are already pre-planned and agreed and the directors are on board and people can, as you say, start to prepare things a little bit easier. So I think that's a great point. I think that's really good. And I think, to be honest, it answers my next question. Nice and easy. Obviously, it was, what's the long-term plan for keeping people engaged? But I think, as you said, the way that Daniel has sort of got everyone going and kept going with the Zoom things, and hopefully they continue. Hopefully people want to keep getting involved, and maybe some people we haven't necessarily seen come back in and get involved as a little bit as well. Of course, we'd like to push that. And literally almost moving straight on to the next one, the future play thoughts, what's your necessarily, I think for me and everyone else would want to maybe know is, if we were to go back, what would be your thoughts on how we would go about it? What type of performances in your mind would you like to see, would you think would work in the best way?
Okay, I mean, thinking about this realistically, I think the most likely scenario next year is that we won't be able to stage a fully fledged play until autumn next year. So there'll be the dates that we've got for December. Normally, next year would be a panto year. So, it would be good to think, well, we'd have a fair idea, because there's a lot of planning and a lot of kind of work goes into a panto. For us to stage a panto at the start of December next year, we really would need to know probably sometime in June, July, that we would be able to do that. Yeah. That would be if things go that way, that would be my first option. My second option would be to stay, and it certainly, if it's not then, it would be in the near future, would be to stage Agatha Christie and the Pantomime Murders, which was what we were going to stage back in March, which we've still got all the props for, which we've still got everyone in the group that was cast in that play. Maybe if one or two people aren't available, we might have to recast, but we did all the planning. Everyone has hopefully still got all the scripts for it. I'm not expecting everybody remembers the lines, but but it's something that we could probably put together reasonably quickly. Yeah. Other than that, saying that we don't know exactly what's happening, it would also be interesting, perhaps as say we got the go ahead and we thought we can stage something in June, or we could stage something at the end of next year and had limited time to do it. We do have a few one-act plays that we've established that we could put on, which is something where we could perhaps split people into a couple of groups. It's just doing something and just getting back on stage, really. So I've kind of got a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C for how things might work, but who knows?
Always good to think that way. I think most people would obviously agree in exactly what you said there. Obviously, the aspect of a panto is always engaging to both the cast and the audiences, and of course, it'd be great to get back to. But again, as you said, it completely determined on what we're allowed to do, when we can know what the parameters are. As I say, everyone would of course hope that we could be back to do a March play. Obviously, there's so many things that can happen between then and there. June, obviously, or July, again, same situation. But I think from even a personal point of view, I'm very, very hopeful that at least by autumn next year we can get a production on.
Yeah.
To basically put something on in the first 2 years, as it were, would in one production in 2 years is obviously very limited. So fingers crossed with that, of course, going forward. So one of the next questions as well for yourself, a little bit more of a personal one. What we'd want to know is just maybe a highlight for yourself from acts, sort of like a fail, a gag, something that happened in rehearsals, something for yourself which has always stood out, will always be remembered. Maybe it's recent, maybe it's from the past, or it's always stood out as just one of your favourite moments.
Well, I was thinking about this, and there's 2 or 3 things I'd want to mention. Going back to that very first play in 1997, part of the plot involved me having to shoot somebody. Supposedly I shot them. As it turned out, I didn't, but I had to fire a gun. And of course, I had the typical thing happened. You come to it, you try to fire the gun, and you get click, 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 click. Didn't go off. So she died anyway, and it got a full round of applause from the audience. But it's one of those things you think, oh no, why does it happen to me? One of the things that something else that probably didn't feel so funny in the time, I'd have had it happen when we were dismantling the set once, and I had somebody and a step ladder fall on me, and it's one of those things that, in retrospect, you have to think of it in funny. But you know, I mean, the fact I'm here means that I survived it.
Yeah.
Highlights I'd really pick out, pantomimes. We haven't always done pantomimes, but we started doing them in 2007.
Mm.
They've been a fantastic success, and to get just, you know, a big audience, get the Abbey Centre full, and the children there, and everyone really enjoying it. You know, it's a great feeling, and you get that in some other plays as well when the audience is really into it, and you know, it makes it all worthwhile. You know, you go through those, you rehearse for 2 or 3 months, and you get on stage, and everyone's obviously really enjoying it. It's just a fantastic, you know, experience. Really, it's what live theatre is all about.
No, I completely agree with you. I think when you know that the reaction is the right kind of reaction from the audience, when it's full, when it's working, everything's going correctly, it just, as you say, you can almost beam, you know, you're smiling from ear to ear, you just know it's right. It's such a buzz, isn't it? I think, you know, almost get that goosebumps kind of feeling because it's just so right and it's just perfect. And I think, as you say, pantos are always going to do that. They're always going to involve everybody, and there's a lot of humour, and people can relax and enjoy themselves. And I think even the cast can, because obviously in a pantomime, you know, you go to professional pantomimes as they were. You know, I've been to ones at MK Centre where the guys have forgotten their lines and they just ad lib until they get it. But you can do that, and it just comes across in that comical sense. And I think it just allows people to chill and enjoy it a lot more. So I think exactly that. I think they are always a highlight, and obviously glad to see that from yourself. Next question for myself, of course, for you, Bill, is there any particular play or pantomime, whatever it be, that you'd love to do, direct, star in, however it be, or just have the group do? Is there any particular play that comes to mind?
Well, in an alternative universe, not involving COVID, we might have been producing at this very moment the comedy version of Hound of the Baskervilles. It's a play that we've read. I think Lynn Yates actually found it, and everyone that's read it has found it hilariously funny. It would be very challenging to do. There's a lot of work for backstage to do. But if we can ever stage that, you know, that'd be brilliant. And to be in it or to direct it would be fantastic. From a personal, selfish point of view, just going back to panto, I've always wanted to play Captain Hook. I would love to play Captain Hook in Peter Pan, because apart from anything else, it's the novelty of having hair when you play Captain Hook. But it's just that thing, you know, if you're a pantomime villain, you can really let yourself go. And I did do it once. I was the second panto we ever did. I was the villain in that. And, you know, it would be lovely to do something like that again. But how we don't deal with the flying aspect, I think we'd have to be a little bit of work would have to go into that for Peter Pan, but it's not impossible.
I'm sure with Pantoland there's a way of doing it in however way it be. And I mean, I completely agree. I think that's always, to be fair, even being a role of my own, that I completely agree in a selfish point of view would be lovely to do. At the same point, I'd almost love to do that side Smee character at the same time. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there. And you know, again, it's the point. I think I completely agree. I've read The Hound of the Baskervilles when obviously we came in, and completely agree. It's an incredible looking show, and I think it would work very well. As you say, a lot of tricks to do, but I think it could be outstanding if done obviously in the right way and in the right manner. So fantastic there. So for the last, obviously, nice easy question for you, Bill. Hopefully nice and easy anyway. We just want to ask, just obviously for any of the audience watching, anybody obviously wanting to get into acting, how would they go about joining ACT if they're interested? How would they go about that now or in the future, obviously?
Okay, probably the best way to make contact with us is via the Facebook page. To send us a message via that. If you search for Abbey Community Theatre on there, you'll find us, hopefully. I tested it out earlier today and I found us. So that's there, and you can send a message, and I know a lot of people have done that. We are also, not that it's quite the same thing, but we're also on Twitter as well, so you can contact us that way, but that's probably the best. That will be picked up, and we will get back to you at some stage. And please please, if you're thinking about it, do. As you can tell from this video, we are a friendly bunch, or at least those two of us that you can see on. You will be welcomed with open arms, whatever you want to do, whether it be on stage, whether you want to be backstage, whether you want to operate something or whatever, searchlights in the next panto. You know, really, we can always do with more people.
No, I completely agree, and I think it's as I say, I will vouch for that. It's a great group to join. Myself and my partner, we joined at the beginning of the year. And haven't looked back since. So fantastic involved in that. So please, yes, do get involved if you can. Well, thank you very much, Bill. Thank you for your time. It's been great, obviously, chatting to you about that and hearing the highlights and your views and how things are going forward. And again, congratulations on the chairman position. And hopefully it'll be a long and fantastic reign of yours, as it were, going forward. So thank you again for that, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. We are looking to potentially do more of these to keep everyone engaged. So look out for some more content from us going forward. Thank you very much.